Welcome to my show, Conversation with Priya, and I'm your host, Priya Mishra. Today, we have a very special guest who has given his entire life in a journey, I would say. He has been in a journey and trying to find out his ways, and now he is leading the way. So without further delay, I would like you to help me to welcome Nathan today and let's ask him what was his journey all about, or ask his approach towards the life and also the business. So thank you so much for joining in today, Nathan. Really appreciate.
No worries. No worries. No worries. And you, after our conversations prior to this, you seem like a lovely person. So I'm sure we're going to continue our friendship after this.
I'm sure. And I really like your positive, optimistic approach of your life, and what we discussed so far, and what we offline we were discussing about, entire journey and your approach towards life. It's really I really admired it, and really feeling very enthusiastic to talk more about it.
Yeah, I can go through that quickly again for you. So yeah, basically I've always had a business mindset, probably even since I was 7 years old. I remember sitting in front of the watching the news that my father would make us watch, and the only thing that got me excited was all the business news and all the money market news. And that was at the age of 7, so I knew where I was going to be going with it. And then I guess even in school, I was always befriending all the international students because they interested me, because I was all very interested in global business. Even with my studies, I went and did my master's program just to meet and make contacts with international people. So my whole life has been, I guess my brain has been sending me to this path that I am presently on naturally. I've just come back from being overseas. I've been living in Japan probably for the past, it's my second stint. So I've been living there probably 5-6 years. And prior to that, I was mentored by a management consultant, guru, I would call him, probably for about 10 years. So I've had a very long, slow learning experience with him, because he's a very old school, traditional, get your hands dirty and go and learn it. And then I'll show you a little bit later on. So I had to learn by doing, and I got a lot of wax with a stick, let's say, when I was doing my work. But, I guess I'm now more confident and more myself than I could ever probably be. So I will always thank him and always be with him and always help him out along the way. So even when I was overseas, I told him, once I felt ready that he knew I wanted to go overseas and do global business and explore my own path. So probably after about 5-6 years in Australia with him, then I said, I'm ready to go. I'm just going to go now. Took my family and went overseas, threw myself in the deep again, financed everything myself with no job as I was going over there. No place to live. I had to live with the in-laws for a while, but and just went around. I used to pay for my tickets I lived in Fukuoka, which is in the south of Japan. I used to pay for all the flights. I remember like the first year I would pay all the flights myself, just go to China, just go to Hong Kong, go to a bar, see who I could meet. I just kept doing this for a while. Thankfully, I had a few contact points from my university days, people that I really got along with. So I would go and catch up with them, spend a week with them. And just by doing this, sort of like diving deep, spending a little bit of your own money, or spending actually all your money just to make the connections that you need to make, I then got invited into some pretty massive programs. And then from there, probably after about the first year, then they just kept coming. So it was really, really interesting experience for me. And it kind of works, just that random approach of diving in deep and going and talking to people and seeing what happens. Sure. So I did a huge circular economy project out of China for about 3.5 years. The only foreign person involved. There was another gentleman actually from Adelaide I pulled in. So I in case he ever listens to this, I've got to make sure I call him out too. But yeah, and then I did a couple of municipal waste projects, municipal waste supply chain and renewable energy projects in East Africa with the government there. So that was pretty cool. I did some major mining and transportation projects in Central America and also in North America. And then, along the whole journey, the trusted people that I have met, there's probably 5 or 6 of them, but I can always call on them and they've always given me a hand. the older, wiser guys and ladies around me. So yeah, and then I guess COVID kind of just turned things on top for me. I'm one of the families that had to come back to Australia. So I think I told you I expedited my plans to come back here. I wanted to put my daughters through school over here through high school. So yeah, we just expedited that. I wasn't sure I was ready to come back because I was having so much fun overseas. You know, I was leading huge programs all around the world on my own. So it was pretty cool. All hands-on stuff, all random as hell. I can't even tell people how I got some of these jobs. Like it's just there's no system.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that, you know, what leads to the next level and the journey you are choosing. And it's like people say it's all destiny, but it is all your karma and choices you make in your life. I always believe in making choices, right choice at the right time, and you being at the right place also makes a lot of difference in your life. And given your life, and you've been to the different developing country, you did your right, you know, actions and karmas and, you know, your hard work to achieve. And also I'm a big believer of preparing for when the right time will come, you are ready to receive that opportunity. And you were actually working, investing on that through your mentor or through your personal investment and whatever it takes you. And I think that's all about management consultancy, right? You know, it's just that being a management consultant, I think it's a basic element you should have. Like, you have to invest in yourself. You have to be there at the right place at the right time. You know, it's all the opportunity comes that way, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. It's not just hard work, and it's sometimes you get like masses. Suddenly you've hit the jackpot and you've got all this money, but then it all disappears. Because you've got to go out and explore your next opportunity and the next step in your process of your life, whatever that is, and wherever you're going. So it's like, it's a real roller coaster, and it really plays with your mind. It plays with your family life. You've really got to learn to manage those emotions well, and you've got to be very open to everything that you see. And then, as you were saying, you've got to learn just to be yourself and embrace yourself.
Right.
Embrace yourself fully and just go with it. Go with the flow. I did hear you say that you're very organized in the way that you like to do things before this. I was always like that when I started as well. You know, came out, I was very particular in the ways, having everything sorted. You know, if I'm in a project, having all my numbers sorted on this side, having all my data controlled in a central point, you know, having all my documentation done in a particular way. I was very like that too. But through all of my random adventures, I guess I've now learned to accept chaos. And I kind of like chaos now, because chaos kind of defines, and it actually aligns a real solution for me in my brain. Like, I've tested all these random things in random occasions, and actually this is making sense now. I'm going to go down this path the right way now. Like, it's when I go into a project, I'm very flamboyant. I talk, I get everybody happy and talking about random stuff, but I just get everybody kind of, their heartbeats really fired up. And once that gets going, then we can start making some order to the chaos, you know?
That's what I meant. Like, I'm also like, I always open multiple thread, and people say, wow, it's a big chaos. You are not understanding what are you doing, and you are not clear about it, and this and that. And I'm saying, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm just creating this multiple thread. It looks chaos for you, but for me, I know these threads. What am I opening? When I'm going to close, how it is going to play, right? But until I open up that, I would not know what would be the experience like. What would be this path? Like you say, there are 10 different roads to go. How would you know which one to choose, right? So you have to create at the beginning that chaos, and you have to prepare for whatever is going to come across. But once you are there, once you get it, you have to be organized.
Then you can go. No, I that used to always confuse me, you know, in the management consultant industry, seeing my mentor do that. He would just be this mad conductor of the orchestra. But now I understand it.
Yeah, but if you start organizing at the beginning, you won't get it. Like, you know, start organizing at the beginning is actually stucking into a perfectionist loop, right?
Yeah, that's right.
We can't afford it. You know?
And you shouldn't come to a problem or a job, you know, with a solution in your mind or an only approach.
Yeah,
So
true.
I'm all about integrated approaches and learning on the job yourself, expanding your own mindset and embracing everything that you're seeing from the environment, right, that's around you. But
And
yeah,
innovation doesn't come from one place. Innovation doesn't come
no,
from the organized or industry experience and all. You are following the lead. That's not innovation. Innovation is something comes from nowhere.
yeah, well said. We can't really define where it's coming from sometimes.
Yeah, it's just come from somewhere and said, oh, this is what we need, or this is the problem we need, we can see in the market. I mean, when you explore the developing country, as you said, you have explored developing country, especially spend a lot of time in Africa. You must have seen there is so many problems to be solved, right? And I
Yeah.
call them challenges rather than problem. There are so many challenges to be solved. And I say this is the opportunity. For some people it might be a problem, but for us it's an opportunity. We see that, okay, this is what we can do, this is where I belong, right? And that's why you loved all that exploration, I believe, you know.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things too about doing it all, and I actually tried to save the world, but that's just impossible. So now I think coming back to Australia, one of the things I did a one project I was telling you as I came back, and that was more of a check to make sure that I was on the same level as the Australian industry and the people here.
Sure.
And I was more than capable. I noticed, you know, elevated, I guess, in a weird way, to the resources I saw here. So I started to think, well, you know what, I'm going to start teaching them and showing them the way of how you could actually elevate your young people and the actual fresh talent that you have in an organization. And that's kind of where I am now. And that's kind of, I guess that's my play on disrupting the management consulting industry, which I come from. But I just believe that, you know, you have so much internal capability in these big organizations already. You have
Yeah.
really highly intelligent young people coming out of university or self-taught through the tech world now. And then when they come into these big organizations, they're kind of suppressed by, you know, old school governance and old school ways. And I just don't think it needs to be like that. I mean, that's why you're seeing them move from organization to organization so quickly, right? Because they don't know where to go anymore.
Sure. Yeah, and the organizations are not facilitating the younger mind and explorer mind, because when you are young, you are more explorer and you're very curious. You just need to tap that potential and actually nurture that. And I really admire the way you are thinking that, you know, how you're gonna go. And I always talking to people and they're saying, oh, there we have a skill problem or we have a lack of resources. And I'm assuming it's not. Actually, we need to skill the existing resources for the right job, which is right now getting created, given the chat GPT and other stuffs are coming into the market. We should adopt and we should actually reskill ourselves and fit ourselves and also prepare the university. I mean, education system, you know, don't get me wrong, but education system is also not preparing for people to be the future job resource, right? So it's a problem in different places, and I think you have taken a very brave and great initiative what you have been doing it, you know. So in that sense, I would like to ask you a question. How your roadmap sees in that era?
Yeah. So I took a role on with a media company here, News Corp, and I was asked, it's my first ever internal role. So I've always been an external person looking in and doing jobs from the outside. And I've always wanted to do it internally to make sure that I have that capability personally. So it was a nice one. It was to build a CI function, continuous improvement function, which I know a lot about. So the way I've done it is basically I've focused on elevating the mindsets of the young resources they have in this team already, and making sure that the function places itself right next to an executive that actually can direct it correctly to the actual big problems that the organization wants fixed. And it also enables the function to funnel through people through the funnel rather than sitting there and becoming old. So these people are developed into a leadership, you know, status very quickly, and then the business can use them to funnel them back out into leadership positions, back out into the business. So that's my approach of it. And how I do that is basically I I train them across I train them across all the topics I know, which is goes across 60 different topics and approaches. I always use integrated approaches. So I say every approach is okay for any situation when you're coming to the table. You got to see what the problem is and what the need is, and then you apply what techniques you know and you've learned, from your bag. What are you going to pull out for this one? So that's what I'm trying to equip them with, this toolkit, not just of knowledge, because they're very quick at understanding the theory, but just applying it practically. This is how now you would practically apply this. Now, how would you practically apply this? What's the problem you're going to practically apply this to? So I just always at this with them. So we're like learning while we're doing. And then one of the things you'll get this, I know, Priya, you'll understand this approach, but I've always taken to an account. I love building systems of work. I can come in, I can build a business from the start up. I can scale a business because I've done it. I can do that. I'm confident I can do that. I can come in and develop a function for a business. I can turn around an asset, for a large mining business. I can do all that. So I've always noticed, people talk strategy. Okay, that's cool. That's strategy. That's where you want to go. Now you got to think about the tactics also of what you're going to do to get to that end point. That's a very important thing. So I teach these guys a lot about tactical implementation of strategy, because I see these young people as that linkage point between the team that delivers and the executive leadership that's making those strategic decisions. And we should be able to elevate their minds and their know-how. They may not have the experience, but we should at least be able to give them that opportunity to understand where it fits in the whole organization, rather than just suppressing them to this lower level, and why am I doing this? I don't want that.
The clarity is not there, then you don't get that enthusiasm either. Like, you need to have that roadmap. You need to have that understanding. Where am I heading? Where am I going? Your mind is trained for that GPS mindset,
Yes.
So that is very much needed and very, very amazing. And you also have other ventures you are also working on, which is multiple initiative in the same area you are actually working on, I guess.
Yeah. Like I do a few different things. I mean, I do, I do digital projects. I'm heavily involved in health. I help, I still do turnaround stuff. I at the moment, because of my current engagement, I just, I refer to my network now at this point in time, because I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much, and I haven't completed what I'm doing right now. So yeah, I mean, after I've got these guys now, basically I've developed these guys into confident, capable coaches. So now I'm trying to get them to spread what they've learned out to the organization and invite people from the organization into what we're learning. So I've got a few of them now. We only had 12 people. They were all from frontline business sort of environment, like typically a sales environment, because that is the front of the business in the media industry a lot of the time. So they're the ones that are dealing with your customers. They're all typically, under 30. There's a couple of vets that are awesome as well. I use them as assurance on the young guys. And I always respect what they know and what they do, because they're my seniors, and you always got to respect your seniors. That's what I've always learned. And then I built this. We built the process. We developed the systems that we're going to use to drive the process, and then the structure just kind of fell out of that. We standardized our role so everybody's equal, and then I guess this organization has been really good. The GMs that I reported to gave us the freedom and the opportunity to do all this. They supported them by those baseline certifications as well, in your Lean Six Sigma field, in your Agile field, in your theory of constraint. And then I've added to them by teaching them about TPS and TQM and stuff like this as well. And then we just focused on them freeing up their mindset and letting them be free. Within a framework, but just like letting them take the lead. And I basically just sit behind these guys, and I'm like almost like their backup insurance policy, but they just go, and we just have this guide, and we just let them go, let them run.
Interesting. And it's a good leadership ability. Like you have to give that ability to thrive themselves, and you just being there, give that confidence, but that's the true leadership.
But yeah, I can spread that out to the world, and I have access to the world. And I just think big organizations would just love what I do and what this system and what these guys have done with me. It's just an easy, low cost, quick way to elevate and motivate and really unleash their rising stars in their organization and make sure that they do support their people. You know, they always put it as a value. And then you're like, okay, cool. They're going to support their people, and they get all this HR theoretical kind of learning approach stuff. It's not stuff that you practically can really apply, you know. So yeah, I just hope I can create some sort of different opportunity or a different learning method for organizations. Something that's really affordable. Like I'm trying to get it all. I've got a MVP being built for an app. So then you can, even when I leave or they leave, you know, lose me for whatever.
If you're doing a micromanagement, it's not a good idea, right? So that's a very great approach. So anyway, we are coming back to the closure now. I like to ask how people can find you and how, you know, where will be the best approach, and what would you like to say to the audience who are starting in management consulting?
It's hard to find me because I don't promote myself normally. As I was telling you before, I just like doing and I love doing what I do. I guess like I'm on LinkedIn, Priya, I'm your friend now, so that's cool.
Yeah,
they can find me that way, right? But I guess my vision for the future, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to digitalize what I can do and virtually deliver what I can do. So that's a real challenge because usually I like to be around people, you know, and be the center of the madness. But if I can do that, then I can spread what I've learned and my system of work. But yeah, I'm just trying to digitalize everything at the moment. If I can just make it as low cost as possible, you know, like $10 a user to access me and what we do, like I'd be more than happy with that. And that's what I'm talking about, disrupting the management consulting industry. Like if you can elevate these guys up with that knowledge and that toolkit and just give them those opportunities at its lowest fee as possible as you can give it. I don't see why organizations wouldn't lap this up.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, being an organization, we struggle with the right resource and with skilled resource, to be honest. So it's a very amazing job. And that's why I was very passionate about hearing your story and what you are bringing to the board. Well, thank you so much for joining in today. And Nathan, it is really great. And audience, if you have got any value out of it, so please like, share, and comment and spread the word. Thank you so much for joining in today. Bye for now.
No worries. Thanks, Priya.